If you're the daughter of a narcissistic mother, you're in some kind of special hell. If you have siblings, then the dynamics are a bit different because each child will have a different role to play. But if you have just one sibling and happens to be a brother and a golden child, that's the worst scenario you can be in. So in this video, I want to share with you some very surprising reasons that you would never have guessed as to why you were targeted, as to why this happened to you. I also share some tips on how to move forward. Hi everyone, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, my name is Sue Lee, and this channel is basically to support people who are on a spiritual journey, on a spiritual awakening journey and personal growth. Today's video is dedicated to daughters of narcissistic mothers. Okay? So I know that most of you will probably know the signs of a narcissistic mother. And here's where I need to reiterate again that I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. This word is being used everywhere and everyone just uses it willy-nilly. You know, I don't do that. It takes a long list, a long checklist in order to diagnose anyone with a personality disorder. But some of you, for some of you who are not familiar with narcissism, I'm going to briefly give you a list of the characteristics. If you are well versed on narcissism, then you can skip to the next chapter. Okay. So for those who are not familiar, let me go through the signs. Number one, they project all their bad qualities onto you, or whatever they hate about themselves onto you. And that gives them relief from shame and guilt. Number two, they have no empathy. Sometimes they may show that they have empathy, but that's learned empathy. It's called cognitive empathy, where they use it to manipulate as a manipulative tactic. They don't really have genuine empathy. It's basically someone who has learned how to be empathetic and to use it to manipulate. Okay, so number three, your feelings don't matter to them. Every time you try to talk about your feelings, every time you want to discuss something, they either change the subject or they belittle you, or they just turn away. Sometimes they just turn away and walk away, or raise the volume of the TV and focus very hard on watching whatever commercial is on. Number four, the silent treatment. They normally give you the silent treatment to avoid accountability or just to make you crazy, just to F your mind up. It could be something that you said that really wasn't offensive, and you're scratching your head until it bleeds, wondering what you did to deserve that silent treatment. You know, you could have said something random like green frog or pink elephant, and that could turn into a silent treatment, and it becomes so awkward because you try to ask what's wrong and they never tell you. They don't tell you because this is a tactic. That's the whole point of a silent treatment, that they don't tell you so that you go crazy, second guessing and wondering what you did wrong or what you said wrong. And this, I promise you, makes you feel really crazy. Okay? And feeling crazy is a very terrible thing for your mental health. This is where they are projecting their mental illness onto you. They're accusing you of being mentally ill. They made you mentally ill with these silent treatments. Yeah. Number five is they envy your strength, your strength and character. Now, for most of us, it's very hard for us to believe that anyone could envy us. What is there to envy, right? But sometimes you're abused because of envy, okay? They envy your strength of character. They envy your compassion and your kindness and your innate kindness, which you were born with. They hate you for it. And this could be because they are not strong enough. They don't have the character or the kindness. They're not strong enough to rebel against their mother. who's very possibly narcissistic as well. And so they towed the line too. And they just, and they hate you for, like, how dare you break the system? I suffered it, therefore you should suffer it as well. So they hate you even more for having the strength that they don't. Number 6, they keep you small by ridiculing everything you do that you love, by telling you you'll never amount to anything, or they discourage you from your dreams and your goals. And somehow you feel that they're just waiting for you to fall and either say it out loud or imply, I told you so. Number 7, they make you go crazy by denying certain events that happened, certain things that they said. They gaslight you, or they change the narrative, and you, being a nice, trusting person, will just continue scratching your head for days on end, for weeks on end, wondering if you had misunderstood things, if you had a bad memory, if you were crazy, that you were imagining things. If someone makes you feel crazy about what's real and what's not, that's a huge red flag, okay? Number 8, they play the victim, perpetual victim and martyr. Number 9, they have no accountability. Okay, now these are just, the list is endless. There are lots and lots of symptoms of a narcissistic person, but these are just the main ones that I want to just briefly touch on if you're new to narcissism. But the most important takeaway from this is that they project all their shame and guilt and bad behavior and cruelty onto you, the scapegoat daughter, so that they find relief in this. The second most important takeout is that they really lack genuine empathy. Now, this is not to condemn them. It's not to, make you even angrier about what happened to you. That's not my intention. What I want to do is to highlight on certain things so that we can move forward. You see, some narcissists may not be aware of what they're doing to you. It doesn't make it excusable, because every adult should endeavor to have self-awareness and should endeavor to know how they're treating others, instead of just blindly going through life throwing their garbage onto someone else. I had a British education. We don't say garbage, we say rubbish. But I kind of like the word garbage. It's so satisfying. So garbage. So they tend to throw their garbage at you without even realizing it. But some do know what they're doing. But it doesn't matter whether they do it intentionally or whether they do it without being aware of it. If you really want to know, then open it up for discussion. It's going to cut down the time of your pain and suffering. So do gather the courage and start to open this up for discussion. Tell them how you feel. If they weren't aware, there would be some kind of aha moment. They'd respond with, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I really do that to you? I really didn't know. Why don't we just sit down and talk about it, okay, and see how we move forward?" That's the right response when they care. But if they don't care, and if they know exactly what they're doing, they're going to just dismiss you, change the subject, call you crazy, and whatnot. So don't waste time wondering over it. At that point, once you find out that they know and they don't care, please seek support from someone from outside the family. Scapegoating starts when the child is very, very young. When a child begins to demonstrate their character and personality, if they're strong, if they're intelligent, if they have compassion, and if they're kind, then those qualities would have to be suppressed because they're a threat to the narcissist. And suppressing these qualities would mean punishing them or doing a smear campaign. Even when the child is like 3 or 4 years old, the smear campaign would have started. And family dynamics is so complicated that over the years, other people will have formed a picture of who they think you are, who they are led to believe that you are. So it's up to you. I don't want to tell you what to do, but my advice would be, don't even seek support from within the family. Okay? Seek support from outside, whether it's a good friend or a therapist or a support group or a YouTube channel. I have my best friend. He's my spiritual brother, and I get a lot of support from him. And I think he sees me as his sister as well, because, well, his sister is the golden child. So he sees me as his sister. And we get support from each other. I also get support from one or two good friends. And I find that is so much more progressive than hoping and pleading for family members to see your side of the story. That good friends and people who love you don't really require a long ass story of your history, of the past, of what happened. And that's what I don't like to do, because sometimes telling the truth is like bad mouthing. Really, it sounds like bad mouthing, and I never ever want to badmouth anyone. I just want, you should just want help. And people who don't judge you, people who truly love you, do not require you to jump through hoops to answer their questions. Why did this happen? Why did you do that? Did you, were you a pain? Were you naughty? Were you this? Were you that? That is just victim blaming. Okay, I don't want you to go to that territory where you are blamed and re-traumatized. So best thing to do is go to a friend or a support group. Seek help from people outside of the family. Don't bark up the wrong tree. Don't try to find apples from a pear tree. Okay, let's get on to how to get over it. Okay, I would assume that by now you would have spent some time feeling sorry for yourself, which I really encourage. I think that, being the bigger person, being brave, and thinking that it's shameful to feel sorry for yourself is not really the best thing for you. I really encourage you to feel sorry for yourself. If you're at the beginning of this journey, okay, if you just found out, please take some time and feel as sorry for yourself as you can. It's okay. It's not shameful, because when you do that, there will come a time when you're so sick of feeling sorry for yourself that you're just dying to move on. So don't do that. Don't bypass that stage. Okay, it's very important. You don't have to tell anyone that you're feeling sorry for yourself. Just live in your PJs 24/7, eat junk food and watch Netflix and cry. Okay? Okay, so how do you get over it? This is when you're ready. Okay, when you're ready. Number one, as I said before, seek support from outside of the family, or a good friend, a therapist, or a support group. Number two, now don't get mad at me, okay? Try to forgive her and try to be grateful for what she's done to you. This will free you. This will change your perspective from victim to victor. Listen, you were always meant to be the great person that you are. It's just that you lost your way, you lost decades of your life. And now that you know better, go back to that person that you always were. And it was the abuse that kept pushing you and pushing and pushing you to the finishing line. And to me, you can see that as a good thing. Now, I don't want to trigger you. I don't want to minimize your experiences. Okay, that's not my intention. My intention is to help you see that the abuse is what's been pushing you to the finishing line. The abuse is proof that you're not a flash in the pan hero. Okay, you have stood the test of time. You're not a fraud. The good qualities in you are real because you stood the test of time. Number three, if you can, try to isolate yourself. Spend time in nature. Listen to the sounds of nature, whether it's the birds or a trickling stream, squirrels scuttling through the leaves, or monkeys playing on treetops. But don't judge these sounds and don't judge what you see. Just look at it, because you know why? When the voices come into your head, when you start to ruminate, just put a stop to it. I mean, it can be as simple as that. Just be aware of your thoughts and put a stop to the rumination and go back to listening to nature without judging it, without wondering what kind of bird call it is, without intellectualizing or analyzing anything. Just listen to the sounds with no judgment, because it'll clear your mind. You know what? I remember once I was making a chair out of really, really hard salvaged wood, using an old rusty saw. Okay, I was sawing and sawing and sawing, and I was so frustrated. I just burst into tears. I was sobbing uncontrollably, and I closed my eyes as I was sobbing, and I felt something on my nose. And when I opened my eyes, a butterfly had landed on my nose. Now, in the past, when I wasn't ready to be grateful, I would have just brushed the butterfly off, fuck off, and continued crying and sobbing uncontrollably, continuing to find comfort in suffering. But I was at the right time to receive this such a loving, kind gesture from this butterfly who sat on my nose and probably said, "Don't cry." Because I had already done some healing work, gone through all the stages, it was the right time for me. I was at the right stage of my healing journey to look at the butterfly and be so grateful for breaking that cycle of ruminating and crying and spiraling down. It's very important to break that spiral. So I was able to thank the butterfly and get on with my day. And this is what real gratitude is about. Real gratitude is the ability to see and to focus on beautiful things that take our mind off the ugly. But this can't really happen if you haven't gone through the stages. So I strongly advise you to go through all the beginning stages. Look at all the ugliness. Don't go straight to toxic positivity. You have to dig up the past. You have to dig up every single thing that's ugly. Stare at it in the face. Stare at the demons in the face until they look away. The demons are not as strong as you are. You're stronger than them. So do this staring competition until they look away. And then you can move forward. I'm going to have to, clean up the sound because there's piling going on in the lot above me. I live on a very, very hilly area where landslides are fatal. So 2 years ago, there were huge floods and landslides, and they were really, really scary. So, when I first came to live here, I remember thinking, gosh, if someone moved to that plot above me, I'm going to have to go up and be friendly, bring them a cherry pie or something like that and discuss how they're going to build their house and to make sure that they have adequate drainage so that they don't slide into my plot, So that was about 7 or 8 years ago. And guess what? A few months ago, someone bought that plot and he's now starting to build. And he had the decency to come over to me to say that he was starting to build his house there. And guess what? He is a civil engineer. Am I lucky or what? Actually, it's not luck. I heard the other day someone say that luck is merely alignment. It's when you're aligned with yourself, with your authentic self, when you're aligned with the universe, when you're aligned with your values, your principles, that's what other people call luck. They look at you and say, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're different, you're so lucky." How is that different? I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is that some of us make the effort to align. Life is just about making it through one moment to the next. For many people, for many of us, it's really, trust is about living from one moment to another. When you're aligned with yourself, when you know who you are, then these little nuggets take you from one moment to the next. I used to ride horses. And I find that all you need to do is to focus on where you want to get to. You want to get to the next corner or the next pole. Okay, that's all you need to do. The horse will know. The horse can feel. And you don't really have to know how you get there. You just focus on where you want to be. And the strength that you need, yeah, it takes a lot of strength, okay? Every single day, I am trying to gather strength. I don't know where I get it from. I just get it because, oh, I know. I know where I get it from. It's focus. I make myself focus on where I want to be, how I want my life to be. And that means not thinking about the past. That means not thinking about all the wrongdoings that people have done to you, because that's what keeps you stuck. All you need to do for strength is to focus on where you want to be, how you want your life to be, to focus on who you are. And the universe, like the horse, will take you there. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you didn't hear a word I said, I want you to hear this one thing, okay? Don't you ever forget how awesome you are, okay? How much you've endured and how much strength you have. Let that strength take you forward, okay? So don't you dare forget how awesome you are. Use this as your strength to move forward. Don't be a victim. That said, please like my video, subscribe, and share it with people who might benefit from it. Also, I really appreciate comments, okay, and feedback. So please drop a few comments, and you take care, and I'll see you soon.